Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
One of the things to consider when we speak about going to space is what do we define the space as? And what do we see or what we consider as a space? We take a space in our physical body on this planet, and at the same time, within the structure of our physical body, there is another dimension of life which we call the soul of the man. And even though it lives within the space dimensions of the body of the man, has its own life and has its own line of communication. And what we define space, going to space, we already know the inner sanctum or the creator of our physicality travels the depth of the universe, has been the space travel all the time, has a line of communication with other parts of us, be it through dream we call it, or through subconscious, some people they call it, or we have the choice that physically move the physicality with its soul. In a way, we have a bird caged in the physicality of the body of man, and that bird is called the soul of the man. We can open that cage and let it loose at the point of death. When the operation of this cage rots away, and it cannot hold together, and this beautiful bird becomes free. Still, it takes life in the universal dimension, because it has a life. It exists on its own. Or we can carry the cage in a box and take it anywhere. I can take a bird cage in the car, I can take a bird cage in my hand and walk around the park. It doesn't change the entity and existence of that bird. It's still a bird, still sings, still communicates with other birds in the park. And this is how our soul is. So we give option. Those who understand the process of the creation can take that cage, that bird, out of the cage and free it, because we trusted it come back in. It's very much when you have a parrot at home, you open the door, you let him fly around the house, and he comes back again and he goes in the cage. Because you trust it. It knows that's where it belongs to. And this is the process that we have made an option to man. The soul of the man is that bird, but is encaged in physicality of body of man. And for the first time, man knows, man can see that it's him who hasn't trusted the bird to be freed. And it has come the time that he does not need to see the cage to break up, to rust, that the bird can fly out, or by accident open the cage's door is open and the bird flies out. That accident is when we die on the street. The bird cage opens up. That bird still gets freed. But now we are teaching how the man has control over this door of the cage. And he trusts that the soul will come back to the body. Or the bird will stay, that it can create that atmosphere of the home, the cage. This is the problem we have, and this is what we call it different ways of traveling. But to be able to free that bird without accident, or when the cage cracks, rust, and we call it death, we are teaching how to be able to control, to trust that that bird, when we release it, can come home, or can make a home that we can go to. When my children were young, 4 or 5 years old, they wanted a bird, a cockatoo. I bought them a cockatoo. And this bird in the cage was very young, few weeks old when we got him. And we used to let it free in the house. He knew he goes back in and he sleeps there and he lays egg there. And it came to the point, because of the diseases carried, we had to, the doctors told us, this bird cannot stay in the house because it's causing problem in the house, health problems. So we decided that we loved the bird. We didn't want to let it go, it was part of us. So we decided, if we let it free, it will die, because he didn't know how to look after himself, because he was hand-fed. We decided we'd take him to a sanctuary, and we give it to a sanctuary to be kept. We carried the cage across a park, and as we were walking to go to the sanctuary in the park to be given to them, an old lady saw us. She says, "Oh, what a beautiful bird." We said, "We have a problem, we love him, but if you leave him here, we don't know if you see him." She says, "I'll look after it, give it to me. You can come and see it anytime you like." And it was just like a gift. So we got the old lady in the car, we went to her house, we put the cage there, we showed them how to look after the bird, and the bird was free again in the room. And every now and then, children said, "Papa, can we go and see him?" So we called the lady, we go and see him, and the bird is there. And it was a new home, it was our home. And this is how the soul of the man should be. Is trusting that where he goes, he can make a home for us. So in this process, we are teaching different ways of freeing the bird or carrying the cage. The bird is still there. If you want to carry a cage and go somewhere, you get in the car. That's your spaceship. Still the cage is there and the bird inside. The cage is the body of the man and the bird is the soul of the man. Because we haven't trusted that we get the bird back. We carry the cage in the spaceship. Or there is another line of teaching, which is the understanding the structure of the cage, that you can make the cage not to rot, that then it frees the bird, but it can open up and you can carry the bird is free, you don't need to fuel it, you don't need to do anything, it travels the space of the room, the space of the garden, the space of the city, and it comes back home again. In a way, when we teach about the soul of the man, is in getting the man to trust himself. And to trust himself, he has to become detached. He has to come detached from physicality, detached from the wealth, detached from everything else. That the wealth is within me, not belonging to me. And this is where every man makes a mistake. In many of the teachings I have referred, if you understand that you can put the soul of the man to act with the soul of physicality of the man, you can make anything you like. The soul of the man is the sun, and the soul of physicality in the palm of the hand of the man is the earth. You move it in the direction, you create water, you create food, but you don't need to have it. It creates the energy that the physicality of the man can absorb. We give the earth in the hand, in the palm of the man. He creates what he needs, he takes what he needs from it. Then, if you understand this, you allow the soul of the man to carry the soul of the physicality of the man with it, and whenever it comes, it makes that hand, that palm, 1,000 meter, 1 meter, in a cage of physicality or in a cage of non-dimension. So it's not methods of flight, it's the method of man understanding his own potential, his own grace. So because we have so many people who are so physically attached, we teach about the spaceship for years. This is what it was. They still wanted to see they can get into something. But as I said, I teach for the universe, not for the man. What we teach in the dimension of soul of the man, many travelers of the universe which hear the soul of me are educated, they understand what they missed. But as this is the last time we bring a messenger on earth, we teach everything for mankind to carry. All the rules are in the book. There shall be no more messages. It's for man to translate knowledge. Scientifically, and then through the understanding of the soul of the man. What we call theology, ethics. Ethics of using the science in a way that does not harm no one, but it implies and applies the survival of the others. I was talking about this a few days ago, that there is a paper written by me, the station of the scientist as a prophet. The prophets we call Muhammad, Christ or anybody, are for the soul of the man, conduct of the behavior. Scientists like beautiful Tesla and others are to elevate the same, but the physicality of the man. This time we have put the two together in one go, then there is no difference. We teach the ethics, the soul conduct, and physicality. It's for the man to understand where the two merge and when it's needed to be done. The totality which counts, not the individuality. What you can serve counts, not what serves you. So in this way, if you are physical, we have given you the spaceship, all these reactors. If you have moved in the dimension of understanding part of it, you have the dynamic system, you get some energies, you put a glass of water, you mix the energy and something else together, you're still the camel bird. You put the orange, take the energy, but you still want that the physicality that you're doing something with it, you drink the water. And for the soul of those who understand the totality, then they don't need the cage. They're the free bird. And this is the essence of all the teaching. It's not different ways of flight, is understanding the existence of the universe. Then if you travel with a spaceship, who do you see? The citizens of the universe in a physical dimension. If you travel with the soul that you can create the physicality, you take that out of the equation. You travel, but you know you have connection with everybody. It's very much, as I said once, it's like you get out of London and you go to New York. You're there on your own, but you still pick your phone and speak to the family in London. It's not finished. Now, the soul of the man, given the man the same opportunity. We teach for the time to come. And we teach from now till that time to come. And that time comes, is not anymore the end of the world, something will happen. It's the maturity of the one's understanding of his own creation.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 595th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, June 19th, 2025. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of wonderful workshops. And once again, we have the wonderful presenter, Mr. Mehran Keshe, to be here to guide us through today's workshop. So without further ado, please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation and Spaceship Institute. In time will become what we call the noose around the neck of every life. It does not matter on this planet, physicality of the man, a star, the life of a universe, and somewhere down the line to the existence of the Creator. Everything has time. And it comes by essence of its own interaction. It dictated and dictates by its own dynamic structure. Man dies, physically leaves the body of the man. But what happened to that energy which created the life of the man? Part is the central energy, what we call the soul, and part is the structure of the energy of the physicality and soul of physicality which holds it together. In a way, the soul of physicality and the physicality is a dimension and direction of the place and manifestation of position, and the strength of it dictates what we possesses, dictates how physically that entity manifests itself in the place. The balancer between the energy of the physicality and the soul of physicality, which is the central controller of physical dimension, is the soul of the man, the central energy. In a way, the body of the man we see, all his activities, that is all controlled on the correction and direction of the circulation of the blood and the nervous system, connects itself to its balancer, which is the central energy, which connects man to the universe. So our physicality is connection to the physicality of the space-time of the place. The soul is the connection between the same but the universe, to the universal lines. Physicality cannot jump across the borders, cannot even jump across a wall, cannot even jump across a river. But the soul of the man travels the span of the universe, has his own timeline, is not connected to the day and night of physicality of the man, which is connected to the dimension of the what we call the solar system, which dictates his existence. But one question comes to ask: what is common between the two? When do we die? Put in the accidental death, which brings a new dimension into the dimension of physicality. Why do we go through the cycle of death? Why do we go through the cycle of half-life? We call death in the physical dimension, but we have found the same, what we call scientific term for it as a half-life. If you look as what I call a nuclear physicist, this is what puzzled me for years, for decades, that how we never understood. We die. Physically we die. We leave the body behind. And then we start a new life. Combination, dimension of many lives. We become the body of the worm, we become the body of the birds, we become body of the planet. But a new dimension of the other side is the energy inside, which is the soul of the man. What's the difference between the death and the half-life in atomic nuclear structure? An atom dies. What happened to it? Does it disappear? No. In the matter physical state, as a nuclear physicist, we say it splits to two different atoms. We call it fission. Isn't death the fission? We measure the time of it. This atom, this isotope, has such a lifetime, so many seconds, so many minutes, so many decades, so many centuries. Isn't that the point? The same with the life of the man, the time of the man. The death point is the half-life of the man. Isn't this the truth which we have denied ourselves? If we can measure the half-life of an atom, an isotope, why can't we measure the half-life of the man, the soul of the man, the physicality of the man? Or because of the lack of knowledge, we never understood. Now we understand. We call it death. As a nuclear physicist, I call it the half-life. The point is not the time, the half-life. The point is, what does it become to? How we, as physicists, accept that we get two new atoms, but we can't accept that our life becomes two new lives. Different characteristics, different position, different space. One flies into the space to become a new structure, and one stays where it is and become the residual and feeder of the other lives. As I said, man has chosen too many terms for the same effect, for the same process. If man understands, as a nuclear physicist, I understand the half-life is limited. I understand is the interaction of the fields of its environment that creates that half-life. I can dictate it. I bring this atom, I inject it into your body, you go in the machine, and I know it has 10-second life. I have 10 seconds to watch it, and then it becomes something else. Then, if man understand the energy of the soul, if man understand the energy of the soul of physicality, we can dictate when is the half-life of that time. Separation, split. We've chosen two different words for the same process. Death, half-life. Death of an atom, creation of two new, plus some residual radiation. Then you understand there is a purpose to this life. Time of death is decided long, long before, at the point of inception. When an atom splits into two atoms, again, that split 2-second parts, each start another new half-life, depends what they carried with them. In the future, if man understands this, can measure this, understands what emits out of his physical body, you call it aura, and can measure it, can dictate the time, the place that that body will go through its half-life. Why do we live longer? Or why do we live shorter? If you look at the accidental death, isn't this what we do in nuclear reactors, in the nuclear fuel, that we target a position and we fire at it and we create that accident that lead to division? That from that division, what is the residual? We call it the heat, that we boil the waters and become energy that we burn. But the process is, we created the accident, we split the atom, we created a half-life, and we see the new atoms has a new half-life. Now you understand. This is what I understood when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. There is no difference between radiating, hitting a plate and creating X-ray, and creating a nuclear fusion by, or nuclear fission by combination or division of the fields. We decide the half-life because we end one atom and we start a new, and what comes out of it, some be dislocated, sometimes because of the high energy we split it. Natural process is a natural half-life decay, and the life of the man killed in an accident or died due to some other effects is that man beaming, directing fields to create splits inside an atom. There is no difference. It's just man for level of what I call morality has created different terms for it. Then you understand how in the coming time, if we control the soul of physicality and we control the energy fields of the soul, we control, understand what the physicality gives out, as we call the aura of the man, we can time it when the half-life of the man is. And as we predicted that this atom in the splitting becomes this and start new behavior, and this another behavior, the other half, then that half is the soul. We know its energy, we know where the place and position of it is, and what will be the behavior of it. Is it going to become a star? Is it going to become a creator of the universe? Does it become a dust? And the other half, which is splits, we know is the dimension of physicality. Worms eat it, the earth consumes it, a new cycle starts. Because each one of those have their own half-lives. This is what I brought out last week. What is the time of the life of the soul of the man? Now you understand how beautiful the creation is. Man has never understood. It's the same process. By lack of knowledge, he has not managed to put it together. Now, as I said in the past teachings recently, we show you different dimensions of the same thing, that gradually you can connect it together and understand the totality. It's like we spent 2 years, 3 years teaching about the soul. We were accused of trying to control the soul, his soul catcher and the rest of it. And it showed their ignorance of not understanding the power of the knowledge. Now you have to put that, all that soul, all that physicality you're so proud of, what is his half-life? Then you understand the teaching of last week. If you understood the process of half-life, that the division creates, because we know how much energy is released, it becomes gold and stays for 100,000 years. And it's one of the special type of isotopes of gold. It stays for 10 million years. Now, can you measure the field strength of the soul of the man and determine which isotope it is and how long it stays? And then when he comes to the end of that time, we have become so knowledgeable that we know it splits again. But man does not understand that in that process of split, if you create a new dimension of the field, it will not become gold. It does not need to go lower, but it can go higher. It becomes plutonium, become whatever it likes. Then you understand how the life of the man is a collection of half-lives, but the man never understood. Ask yourself one question. Do I call it the point of death? Or do I call it the half-life? And then, what is my destiny at that half-life? I leave the physicality behind. Part of the soul of physicality, because the amalgamation of the field, the strength of it, is embedded
in the soul of the man. What is his half-life? This is what I said many times. Maybe today you understand for the first time. You can do things to change the strength of the soul, dictates its half-life, and then from then even decide after that half-life where you want to be. 1 million years life of the man measured by it is the splits of the microseconds of the life of the universe. Noticed till very recently when I explained that 4.5 million is not the life of one. They tell us 4.5 billion years up to this planet is much more. We saw information coming up within weeks and months after. Oh, life could be 13.5 billion on this planet. We made a mistake, the life of the universe, because we released the knowledge, we touched the soul of the man and we enlightened, and he moves. How many times you've seen changes as the teaching goes on? Now we are reaching a point that the destiny of the man is in the hand of the man. The conduct of the man decides where the man shall be at the point of separation, at the point of death, at the point of what we call half time. Then you understand the totality. Then you understand the reality of the technology, the knowledge which is shared. We are not here to punish you and tell you about the hell and heaven. This is a scientific teaching. Understanding the science of creation. And then it's you, as you added the salt and you got the caustic and you made plasma of the energy, creating new dimension. You can add to it and you change the matter to energy. Now you have to learn how to add to the energy of the soul of you by yourself through your conduct to decide the position of the half-life part which released in the universe. You call it the soul of the man. Now you understand why I keep on telling you the earth is the nursery growing the seed. Because once the seed is done, a flower drops its seeds below itself for it to grow. It gives it to the bird to take it across to another part of the garden and the city to spread it. Where does the seed of your flower, your life, will go with the birds of the universe? What is the phoenix of your life? It's not to bury it in the ground. It's taken across the universe. Where does it land, that phoenix? And does it match into what you did? Otherwise, you'll stay in that place in dormant till the time comes when the ground is ready, when it becomes fertile by the fields of the universe, that it might show itself. This is what man needs to understand. This is the purpose of this teaching. We're getting closer and closer for you to understand why we came as messengers, as teachers, to bring man to this point, for him to understand that he is responsible for the position where that half-life starts will be, as he knows one half is already committed to be left behind, that in the future, as part of the body of the man, will become in time another half-life and feeds into another soul, that soul will find its way to another dimension and creation. Ask yourself one question. I answered this years ago. We have a cow. It eats the grass. How does the grass convert into meat? Isn't the reason why there is always a protein in every grass, every vegetable? The reason for it is simple. That protein, which fits to my protein, I can transfer its energy from it into mine. I'm just a converter, I'm the cow. This is why animals eat certain grass, certain plants, certain food. Because that's the only amino acid in that plant which matches into the amino acid structure of their life. They come that converters of one amino acid to another. Vegetable amino acid to meat. Now you tell me you're a vegetarian? You are a converter. You become the cow. Otherwise, you're still living another life. You're eating another life. How and what a hypocrisy with those who are vegetarian. You just become another cow. Instead of cow converting the protein of the wheat, seed, apple, and then you eat it, now you do the converting and make it the flesh and blood of yourself. And who eats you? What is your half-life? What is the purpose of all these wars? And what is the purpose of all this killing? We are all just another cow converter of protein. Now you understand the purpose of life. Creation of that half-life. We do everything to extend it. But we don't understand. We don't need to extend it. We have to increase the value of it, the beauty of it, that by itself finds a half-lifetime itself, that does not matter where it is, it serves its environment and decides when to decide to become the other half-life. Maybe today's teaching brings you to understand the reality about your life, your creation, and how feeble man has been. Always said in a very, very rude way, very, very rude. And that comes to one point. You study, you become engineer, you're electrical engineer, you are mechanical engineer, you're specialized in thermodynamic, blah, 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 blah. You're just an engineer. Nobody cares. It's just another thing, piece of paper. You can't influence my life. I become a nuclear engineer and the world fears me. Same classroom, the same chair. Understanding the truth about the creation and how I can play with it, which brings fear to your spine. I understood the half-life, but now I can understand the connection between the half-life and the half-life of man, a plant, an atom, a universe, a galaxy, and the rest of it. There is no difference. Man has just chosen the wrong name, different name for the same process. Supernova, death of a man, split of an atom, is all the same. Time. Half time. Death. Creation and a new cycle. Then ask yourself one question. How do I elevate my soul or take from my soul that I become the soul of a bird? That I become the soul of the galaxy and I become the soul of the universe, and in part I become the soul of the Creator. I made man in the image of myself, which means my soul is the soul of the man, and man's soul is my soul, as we are all the same, created from the same source. This is not a physicality. One day the cow, one day the bird, one day the man, one day another species in another part of the universe. Then decide what half-life of the time you want for the seed which flows with the birds of the universal fields across the universe, and what phoenix will come from that bird. Now you understand the day of judgment. It's you who has to judge, and not anyone else. There are no courtrooms. There are no promised day, and there are no hell and heavens. Man decide when you can't achieve in the dimension of the soul in what you want your soul to be, that's hell for you. When you reach that point, that you reach the point of satisfaction or understanding, I'm happy where I am, but I'm happy where I go. When my half time comes, the game in the other half played with my satisfaction and my emotion, and I carry the emotion of the universe, not tainted with blood. Blood is not red. Blood taking the fields of the others, which is not yours. Blood of life. How do I control it? How do I change it? How do I learn to interact with it? You call it emotion. That's the only way you transfer energy from the soul of the man to the soul of physicality of the man, and to the physicality of the man, and to the soul of the creator. As we say in Arabic, that's the end. This is the beauty of the creator. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you understand this, you have understood the secret of creation. And you understand you have all the time. It's you who decides the threshold of ignorance. Otherwise, it all comes from his love and creation. As much as man has controlled his destiny, where to live, what to eat, what education to receive, man has control over the destiny of his soul. The time, the place, and the possession. The emotion, the intellect, and the enlightenment. The yin and yang. Man has to decide the yin yang side or the yang side, the energy side or the matter side. As I said, teachings the past few days is to open your eyes in different dimensions. It's not to make systems, it's to make you aware of your time. Without time, you don't exist. And with non-existence, you cannot do anything. But when you exist, you have to understand when that clock time comes. It's not per seconds of this planet. It's per understanding the emotion of the universe. That's where it gives you time. That's where your time starts. Then your emotion fits into the emotion of the universe, in the dimension of the soul of the man, feel the strength. Then your time starts. You see the plant in one soul, and it never grows. You see this, him seed in another position and it grows. You have to decide where does the seed of your soul grows and what does it become. That's your time. Do you want to spend it in the prison of the physicality, or do you want to teach the physicality the beauty of the creation? You transfer or you transmute. The decision is yours. To what extent you push this barrier is decision of yours. You decide your half-life. The atmosphere of this planet has created a cage of time. To be here as a soul, you have to pay, you have to share. And the payment comes at the point of death. I've collected, I leave, and I take my new dimension. I become the phoenix of my physicality in another dimension in the universe. I hope you understood today's teaching. It's very heavy. And if you haven't understood, it goes over your head. One day your children or your great-grandchildren will understand and they'll change the course of their lives. Then they decide for the phoenix of their soul. We go for a break and we come back. And I hope I have enlightened you, which means you understood the emotion and you had the intelligence to understand. Take us for a break, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, we are in the 595th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and we will take a short break and be back. And our attendees here in the Zoom will have an opportunity to raise their virtual hands. So you can ask a question of Mr. Keshe, or you can put a question in the Q&A or in our chats, either in Zoom or in YouTube. Okay, be back shortly.
Rick, can you check your line, please?
Okay, we'll show that after the break. Is that the idea? Or you want me to show it during the break? After the break, I guess. Okay, thank you. Okay, let me get the video going here. Okay, we're back again at the 595th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, June 19th, 2025. And as mentioned, because it's the second half, we do have questions coming up. But before that, of course, we usually have announcements and whatnot from Mr. Keshe. Would you like to
talk about whatnots?
Enlighten us?
Yes, talking about the whatnots. The teaching will go on the same progressive development. In coming weeks, we hope that we establish the international teaching of the Keshe Foundation totally in a different way that we done. We'll combine the teaching with the Keshe Foundation TV on the international level, backed through AI, what we call domains, which we have bought to spread the teaching. And we will come back to the process of, as we always said, we put seeds everywhere for them to be ready for when we need it. And that process of teaching has come forward. We have seen many people using Keshe Foundation videos in their, what we call, chats on different domains, in different medias. And we have seen them, some of them, 300, 500,000, 2 million views from the same videos which go out of the Keshe Foundation. And in a way, when we look at it, some part of the teaching reaches millions. Now we will coordinate this and we bring this all under one banner, one umbrella. The teaching, what we brought up, the KF TV, and the part of AI in the next 12 months. And we start affecting the roots, the basic, what it comes up. This is important for us to spread the knowledge of peace and to bring the knowledge forward in the right way, in the right direction, the right, what we call, process. Those of you who help and you've been around with the education, those of you who've been around with the TV teachings and your process there, will come back to you very soon. The reason is very simple. Out of the market cooperation contract with the Chinese, private sector and the military, for us to train, as we're opening a number of divisions across China and very soon in other countries that negotiations are going on, to send individuals to teach in different languages and create a, what we call, localized teaching per factory, per section. We have decided that we open a central teaching. You open a factory tomorrow as part of the collaboration with the Keshe Foundation in China or in Canada or in the United States or in Africa, you don't need to wait for the Keshe Foundation, somebody to come and teach you. You go back on the TV, you go back on the recording, connected to AI, then we need one central teaching, one central recording, one central process. Now you understand the purpose of the things we put behind us in the past years. Some of you stayed loyal, you still supported the teaching. Now we come to you in a very short time as the cooperation with the Keshe Foundation and the licensing, the market and market licensing, the massive 10 billion contract with the Chinese, and the second part with the Chinese government on defense and space technology. We don't have time. I cannot go in every classroom one by one. We use what we set up, and we call upon the knowledge seekers to support us in teaching. Teaching the new generation, and at the same time bringing the new generation. The AI team, which is set up by the Chinese support, and we have very knowledgeable people in it, will play a major game in spreading the knowledge in the next 3 to 6 months. We teach thousands of Chinese, thousands of other nationalities directly by the basic teach using AI, Keshe Foundation, Cosmic Ray, AI, and the rest of it. We are on the verge of one of the major breakthroughs in spreading knowledge because we want to use the technology. We are start moving our specialists in position in past few days as the system with and collaboration as part of the Keshe Foundation Knowledge Seekers Program into position to start massive industrialization of technology through the massive contract which you signed last May, some 4 weeks ago in China. We ask for your support, and we need your support to be able to achieve what we set out to. The space technology has to have a meaning, but the space technology has to have a relation to man's daily life. And this is the purpose. Setting up a clear path, bringing the teaching arm, bringing the communication arm, and bringing the what we call social media together to deliver teachings into factories. People who never heard about plasma technology, they have 4 weeks to learn before they go into the production line. Does not matter when they're employed. Till they don't understand, they don't get in touch. The knowledge you transfer does not touch their soul. They will not see the workplace. Commitment with the Chinese will involve hundreds of thousands of people in China in the coming months and years. And they have to be taught the ethos of why they do, how they do, and what will bring. It cannot be a 9-to-5 job for me to live. It has to be a pleasure. I go to work because I know it elevates my soul. It brings me to life to enjoy. Keshe Foundation TV, the Keshe Foundation teaching, especially Jalal, who sits on the top of this work, especially people like Emmanuel, we need to bring this in the right position. The team in China with the AI structure they are working on, the team with the Keshe Foundation TV, all have to start working together. Now we can deliver these teachings for those who never knew and they accept the technology because it gives them a job. They have to accept the technology because it elevates their soul. Because they can feed themselves. They don't need to be a slave to the factory, to work, to earn, to live, to enjoy. We changed the course, and you've been here long enough, all of you, to bring that change. Our collaboration with market corporations, Keshe Foundation, will intensify rapidly in the next few days and weeks. Market corporations, as part of we own the assets of, will become the flag bearer of new technology. And with it, what comes out, we share out to teach more, to develop more, and to bring part of the structure into operation, step by step. And I hope that knowledge seekers are with us to bring that change. As part of what we taught today, and what has been ongoing for past months in teaching in the elevation of what we call the soul of the man to be able to transmute and to be able to transfer, Keshe Foundation today has launched a product. This product will bring part of the physical and part of the soul development transmutation together. This is what I call the collective knowledge of past 20 years of teaching. This is the first part of 2-part set. The new system, if you've been with us, we used, if you remember, you bought the glasses. then you had the headsets, then you had other parts, you configured everything back and forth and everything else in the teaching. Today we have launched this product. This is part of the elevation of the soul. This is part of the structure which brings us to a final stage of teaching for you to learn. In a way, we had the Twinies set. We had you to put headphones and eyes, coppers and the rest. The new unit, the cosmic ray plasma technology, is combination of connection to the matter state and to the plasma state, to connection to elevation of the soul, where we can transfer to physicality. The second part, second piece of this will be released maybe in the next 6 months, once we complete the total work of this section. The second part will be like a brace you wear, as I said to before, it's like a bra you wear, where we will elevate, where we control, you control, by wearing the two-piece, the soul of physicality, control of the emotion, blood flow to the unit on the head, where allows you to learn to transmute. We tested this with the 7 pilots in a different way in past few sessions. We sent the materials which allow them to be able to do this in a different way. And this is the outcome of those researches which you supported us. We thank all the captains in what they did. And this new system is the next step in the development of those of you who can transmute, who can feed yourself. You can bring the control of the emotion of the physicality with the emotion of the soul to be able to transmute with you in charge. In a way, is one of these cars with the L on the back, you're a learner. This system is one of the most advanced cosmic ray technologies we have ever developed. We control your emotion, control your love, we control everything which is positive in you, and you're in charge. We will be able in the set to allow you to use our central system, which is getting developed very rapidly, to be able to transmute by your own decision, not by us. To be able to connect, communicate. If you look at the system, if you expand the picture, please, Rick, it has a 360 connection with every dimension of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, motion of the blood in the structure of the man. In a way, we create a different environment, like Earth has created a dimension of environment of the body of the man. The way you go through change of blood flow, the field strength of the blood that allows you to go to sleep and then you call it a dream. We condition this to this process. Those of you who buy this, please do not use it till the day we tell you. When you get it, don't get excited to put it on your head. We have to fit you into the system, and when we call, you can put it. Till in the next few weeks and months, your system is continuously up running. You decide when to put it up, when to transmute, when to go. As you can see, we before used to give you the headphones and the earphones and the backphones and the glasses. This system combines everything plus the universal cosmic ray connection. It's extremely expensive, but for what it is actually peanuts. We want to know if you manage to tune into the emotion of the animals, the plants, that you can receive energy from them, that you don't need to eat them. If you can create the emotion of it to receive, this system has the capability to do this, especially when we introduce the second part. We are on the verge of releasing one of the most advanced technologies in what we call movement of energy, be it your physicality, be it your soul, be it the dimension of even creating organs in the body of the man, as we develop this technology further. I can foresee next 12 months, hopefully with the help of the Chinese military, to develop a technology that if you are missing a kidney, we can position the system as it is, plus other parts, that your body will create that second kidney. Doctors can remove a damaged kidney due to accident, placing the system, because its field environment is there to produce that missing kidney with all the connections made by man, for man, by the body of the man. Is the teaching of today. The position of where your soul manifests itself is already decided by the field strength he has. The position of the kidney is already there, field has been there, and is created by the condition of the environment. We create that condition, and the position is already preset by the body. Now you understand it's not a fairy tale. Now you understand why we grew the feet tall some years ago, to understand this correctness of the technology, understanding of the technology of the creation. This unit will bring a new first step for not needing the rocket space technology to pull yourself up to go somewhere if you survive. This is you controlling everything, and we learn from it, and we process it. We are developing a special reactor to handle this system. When it's connected to the second part and individual itself. The first delivery will be 6 to 8 weeks from now, and we just have a limited numbers because we want to see what the reactions on those limited numbers are, that we can build the second part or improve on this part. There's a lot of improvement to be done, there's a lot to learn, but if we develop and we improve and we change, your unit will be replaced automatically freely, because it's part of the process. Up to 2 units development will change. You send us the new unit back, we send you a new unit. Two-stage development we replace. If we go any further, then we introduce a new system. But this unit in the coming time will be connected to the cosmic ray plasma of this, what we call the physicality. And then we move on. It's the first time we connect the matter and the plasma state to line up the communication together. This is part of the space technology of the future. If you buy 2 units in a house or for other purposes, do not share. Please do not share any cosmic rays with each other. Systems are not set at the moment to store and to work that way. In the future, there is not a possibility 100% will be done, but at the moment our knowledge is not that far. Our scientists don't understand the whole technology to be able to go to that next phase. Limited units for us to learn, then comes the second part, limited units, and then it comes what we call, if you have, then we go for the wellness center, creation of the parts missing. And if you remember the way we built the brain of Naomi, this is part of what I explained. Now it becomes a system. The way we build the brain, now we build different parts. You have a damaged kidney, you have a damaged heart. Now it becomes exactly how we replace the brain, missing or not missing. This is the beginning of the evolution in science, and you see most of these products out of the Chinese corporation with Barclay Corporation. As technology in the hand of the man by the man, and not in the hand of conglomerates and used by them to become richer. Understand the implication of the change, and then you understand how, with this system, we bring the place, position, emotion, the intellect, and the enlightenment together. I hope we enter a new phase, and if you look at it in a way, this is the massive machine we call the vessel converting in such a size. 6 years of development. And you always been there to help to develop it. We go, if there are any questions, we can answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a hand up here and a couple of questions as well. Let's go with, I think the name is Istvan. Istvan, would you like to go ahead? You should be able to open your mic there now. Whoops. Disappeared. Must have been an inadvertent hand up, I guess. Okay, we'll go to our question in the chat from Hong Yue. Says, hello, Mr. Keshe. In last week's teaching, you told us there were 2 types of dreams. I am particularly interested in the kind that can enlighten the soul. 3 or 4 years ago, I had a dream. I saw a sky full of stars reflected in a clear sea or lake, and at the same time, I saw various fish swimming quietly under the water. When I woke up, the dream was very clear. During the dream and just after waking up, I felt extremely peaceful and joyful, as if I had been enlightened. However, this feeling gradually faded over time, and now I only remember that I had this dream. I assume this was an enlightening dream. May I ask how I can have such a dream again, and how to maintain this wonderful feeling at all times? Thank you very much.
I don't know, I explained it to you in a very, very specific way. You said you have such a dream. You call it a dream, but in fact it's a travel of the energy, what we call the soul of the man. And first of all, try to see what you had physically going on around you, about the fish and the rest of it, days before or hours before you go to sleep. I always explain that how you can control the change, the release of the soul of the man in the dimension of what you call a dream, but it's actually your either part you call it yin or yang, which goes on a trip by controlling your breathing, controlling the way you take energy, and with it you control in a way is adjustable. You adjust, you have these drones, and you adjust the energy, it goes up, it goes down, it goes to the side, you just decide which side you push. In the body of the man, you decide how you breathe. At the moment, that's why we introduced the second part of this medicine. Have you I don't know if you have a child or you sleep with your partner, you're an adult, that you have a wife or partner, you sleep. Have you been awake and have you watched them? Have you held their hand while they're asleep, or you touch them when they're asleep, and you see they twitch, the arm moves, the finger moves, and you watch them laughing, you watch them crying, you watch them twitching. But one thing you have never observed, have you observed their breathing? The rhythm of the breathing dictates the emotion, dictates the dream, dictates the freedom of the soul, or is it in the dimension of the soul of physicality and physicality of the man? Our body does it automatically. We haven't learned it. The rhythm of the breathing at night, what you dream, if you know what to listen, tells you the person dreaming beyond in the soul of the man or in the dimension of physicality. It's different techniques. Never understood by the world of science. But now, if they understand and watch the way you breathe, and then match the breathing when they tell you when they wake up what the dream was, then you understand which is strength, what breathing connects to the soul, and what breathing connects to the soul of physicality and physicality. This is what you have to do in the daytime. This is what the guys do by moving around and taking energy by changing breathing. You don't take changing energy by breathing that becomes food. You learn how to use the energy of the breathing to be able to reduce the dimension of the cage, which is the flow of the blood, to allow the soul to go, to be free. But you keep his leg because one leg of it sits in the spinal cord of the man, attaches man to the earth. This is why you cannot go. This is why you have half a brain. When you look at the systems we put, we don't go down to the physical side. We stay on the upper part, the half where the brain is. Then you understand, can I repeat the same? Can I have more of? You don't need to go to sleep to dream. Learn how to control the energy which goes in your body. Connect it to the field of the universe. And then you find out it's much easier to do. You don't need to breathe. This is why we introduce the second part of this technology very soon. Blah, blah. I'm awake. I want to go somewhere. I'm there. And then in that dimension, I can transmute or I can transfer. You had a dream. Did anybody watch you? Did anybody record how you were breathing? Get that breathing, understand it, you go to the same position of having the event. Why you don't remember? It's just exactly like you're Chinese, you went to the Wall of China or you went to the Forbidden City. Do you remember every step you took, or you just remember you've been there? Do you remember every building? Do you understand the building? Do you understand the culture of the building? If you do, then you remember more of it when it comes. It's like many people go to the Wall of China, many people go to the Forbidden City, but they don't understand the hidden secrets in the buildings. When you go to the Forbidden City, in the beautiful city of Beijing, you look at the buildings, you see, oh, there are lions and animals on the corners of the roofs. But do you understand why? Why those animals are there? Is a coded elevation on the position of the man. Where the emperor is, when you go into the Forbidden City, you look at the roof, you don't look, you look at the gates, you don't look at the gate, look at above the gates. You visit one animal on it, two animals on it, three more animals on it, or 5 animals on it. The door you see in the Chinese way in Forbidden City, a big gate, big door, and 2 side doors. All the time is the pattern. You see on top of the gate, on top of the door in the structure, there are 3 animals on the corner. On the gates is 1 animal. The side doors have 1 animal. This is where the servants go. Servant can now go through with the sign on the top. The man knows his position. He knows his dream. Where you see 5 or 6 or whatever on the top when you go in, that's the position of the emperor. His concubines have their rooms with the number of animals on the edge of the curve. They know how much they can dream, because that's the limitation dictated. This is exactly what we do. We can dream, but we dictate what energy and what position we want to get. This is how we elevate our soul. Get the pictures of Forbidden City buildings on the internet and look at the corner when the 2 corners come and you see number of animals. You think they are just there? This shows the position. No one goes in this building except emperor. When you walk into the Forbidden City, you see big, you think it's flower pots, huge stone things, but they're actually copper now because they used to be gold laden when they, during the time of revolution, they stripped the gold off. What's the purpose of these? They're not there for decoration. Even the pots has a decoration on it if it belongs to the palace or not, because these buildings are made of wood. They always had fire. These are the fire brigade pots. They kept water in it in case of fire. The water is there, emperor doesn't get hurt. And if in some positions pot was not for the emperor, it means the water was rotten, all is kept, but it's kept for concubines and servants. We decide our position. We decide what we dream. To go through the door with 1 animal, become physical, and we are there to serve the physicality, or go for the one with whatever number on top of it and decide this is where my soul goes. I want to meet my creator, the king. Understanding is not just watching. Remembering is to comprehend. I always say to my children, once you comprehend, you don't need to remember. In my life of education, I never remembered anything. I understood. And that's what all it was. What I take from it goes according to my understanding. And what I do with it. This is why I always teach you. Everybody takes according to their understanding. Because once you understand, you don't need to remember. And once you understood, it comes naturally. Understand the working of your body and see how many animals you want to put on it. And to be in that position, what you need to do to understand more about yourself. Your physical structure, the working of the physical structure, the understanding of totality. Then you don't need, I just remember I had a dream. You don't need a memory. You understood what it was. And if you understood, you're enlightened. You can always go there because you understood how to do. Any other question?
Okay, thank you.
We have a Chinese translator today added to the system.
Well, I'm not sure if they were a translator or is that correct? They weren't translating, so I'm not sure.
Why do we have a Chinese name in the translated list?
Well, it popped up. I don't know why exactly.
Can you remove it?
Okay.
Put it to the attendees. Okay, what's the next question?
Let me see here in our Q&A from Maurizio. Maurizio says, good morning and thank you, Mr. Keshe, and all those who allow all this. When I approach plasma technology, I realize that there are teachings that transcend the technology itself. For example, I read a sentence, we must use the energy of the atom, not the reaction of the atom. In this sentence, much more than the atom, there is the soul. And in my opinion, it has to do with right thinking, right speaking, and right acting. To implement this teaching in daily life, it can take even a year. In the meantime, technology runs, and learning it without implementing this vision seems to me of little use. So it seems to me that I have two timelines, and it's difficult to unite or reconcile. Can you give us some information about this? Thanks.
You have to understand, maybe I go back to again to Chinese part of the structure. Maybe the reason I enjoy being in China and working with Chinese is because a lot of them understand the process of yin and yang, balance between the energy and matter. And especially when in China you work with the people who are Taoist, it's very different than you work with anybody else. The one who follow Tao teaching or process of understanding actually talk about the same thing, but totally different to the others. Chinese understand this very well. If you are from School of Taoism and the other part. The life, the confusion in the world, especially with the questions you put, is the process of teaching, how we've been taught. We were only taught about the physical side, Newton's law, the speed of light, the physicality of eating food. We were never taught about the energy of it. What energy creates that position? We have defined energy in the dimension of the matter, but we have never defined energy in the dimension of the energy. Where it comes, how it comes. And this is where the confusion is. This is what I say all the time. You give me nuclear physicists, I say, no, I don't want to teach nuclear physicists because there are some of them the easiest and some of them the worst to teach because they think they know the energy side, but in fact they know the matter side. Matter does not exist if the energy side doesn't exist. So if you comprehend that you have a physical dimension which confirms the existence, and you have an energy side which shows the connection. This is what it is, more or less. You can have a car, if you don't have a fuel in it to have energy, it doesn't go anywhere. Physicality of the man is that, and the life of the man, all our teachings are about this part. Nobody touches about the fuel. But we have created something to make the car go, and then we think this is the energy. The teaching of the future has to be on two levels. When we go to a classroom talking about Newton's law, we have to have another class to teach us about energy law. From preliminary schools, from nurseries, we have to teach our children the two. Then we don't have the confusion we have today, that Keshe Foundation teaching is something mythical, blah, blah. Because, of course it's not, because you haven't seen it. I was standing very recently in Beijing, and there was a magician. And this magician was playing with children, doing magic for children. There was a row of them all sitting, and it attracted my attention. And all he was doing, he was putting the rings we've seen inside, outside. It was magic to it. But he shows it to the parents. Look, there's a crack that goes through there, and so they understand. If he shows the crack to the children, he's not a magician anymore. The child understands he can do it. So he is a magician, but he knows how the magic is done. He sees both sides. And we have to teach our children the same. That's why at this age, to teach others this plasma technology is a big problem, because they're so embedded in the physicality, they don't want to see the energy of it, which creates it. You have a beautiful computer without the data is useless. Your body is that computer, the data is your soul, is your energy. You have to match it and have to understand. You like a fancy keyboard, you buy beautiful clothes. You like a shiny cars, you buy a car. But cannot go if you don't put the intention of the soul to get in the car, wear the fancy clothes and go somewhere with it. The problem is our educational system, which, due to our physical understanding of matter, never considered energy. It's easier to teach the plasma technology to a child, a 5-year-old, than to the professors from CERN. The arrogance comes with the lack of knowledge, and they're all arrogant. Try to understand your life has energy side, and it has a physical side. Physical energy, which gets you moving forward, is different than the physical energy which gives you emotion. It gives you intelligence. It gives you intellect. It gives you comprehension. It gives you love. Get you love physically? No. When you put the emotion of the love into the physicality, it becomes a touch. You touch your partner. It becomes the kiss, which lives has a different meaning. You kiss everybody. Have you seen these fake kisses, especially the Arabs and the Iranians and the Middle Easterns are engaged in? And then you see, it has no emotion. It's the ritual. And then you see when you kiss your partner, when you kiss your child. Have you ever held your child in your hand and you kiss it and she kisses you back? Have you ever held your partner and you kiss? With a kiss, you can say, she's faithful, his mind is somewhere else, I better go somewhere else. Because emotion, energy, has carried on into physicality. We have not learned physicality has an emotion into it. And we understand how to transfer it. When I was in business years ago, I used to work in Kinshasa. Quite often I used to fly into Kinshasa. And the Minister of Transport of government, his wife was running my offices in Africa, part of Africa. And the president said, Keshe does not stay in hotels, it's too dangerous. At that time, I was in business, nothing to do with Keshe Foundation. So, as I used to have the wife of the minister as a head of my operation, they decided that I stay at home with them. So, I always stayed in the quarters as a guest in the house of the minister. And we always had breakfast with her and his wife, and her husband and the children. One day, I was sitting at the breakfast. We were supposed to go to the ministry of somewhere. She was crying. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I cannot talk. I cannot talk. It's too dangerous. It's too bad." I said, "You know something? Go on, you're crying. When you finish, go and explain to me, because I cannot work this way." She calmed down and she said to me, "Do you know something? We've been married for so many years." I said, "Yes." He said, "For the first time, he turned his back on me." I said, "So I slept with my wife, I turned my back on her." Not in our culture. When a man turns his back on you, it means he's got another woman and he's not happy with you. And I want to know what I've done wrong. I said, "One turning of the back?" She said to me, "You don't understand the culture." I said, "Teach me the culture." Next time, at the dinner, we were sitting at the table, very nice. I went to the ministry quite often with him. I said to him, because we became friends after you work with these people so long, they become part of your blood. I said, "What's wrong with you two? Am I the cause of it? Is it you're not happy with a stranger to be in the house?" He said, "No, no, Mr. Keshe, we love you. You're part of the family, blah, blah, blah." I said, "So why did you turn your back on her?" He looked at me, he looked at her, he says, "You told him that? What else you tell him?" I said, "No, no, no, no," because she was crying this morning. I said, "Come on, we have to talk. If there's another woman, I want to know. If I'm the cause of it, I want to know." He said, "No, she's chosen the wrong tiles for the floor and she wants this tile and I don't like it and I don't want to walk on it." I said, "One tile changed 20 years of changing your direction of sleep?" Next day, they dug everything out and the new tiles came. Both were happy. There were no more cries. We have to understand the information and the energy and the emotion and the physicality. It's us who causes the problem for us, because we don't understand the physicality move and the emotion behind it, and the reason for that emotion, and the energy which causes that emotion. They don't teach us. They just teach us algebra, physics, and that's it. And this become ingrained in us. Everything is physical. That's why we become attached to physicality, money, place, and position. So you have to decide. And then it's easy. There is no double teaching. It's teaching for energy, which you are not used to, teaching for physicality. And you learn enough about physicality, and I don't have time for it. You know exists. Learn how to handle the energy. After meeting a lot of people who write a lot of research papers and confirm, and then because you read a research paper, you accept it. Till then, just you become the teacher. You are the teachers of the future, as I said a few minutes ago. We trained you enough, Jalal. It's time to move. And the rest of you, now you teach the world. You understand it, the rest will be easy. Then you can teach yourself. You don't need to teach anybody else. And when you teach impartial. This is what I understand. You have to take it as you understand, according to your intelligence. What's the next question?
You mentioned heartbeat today, and Stefania has a question or comment. The turtles live a long time, even centuries. And is it because of their slow heartbeat?
Are they good lovers? You know, they say when you are too calm, nothing happens. The lovers have a very high, what they call heartbeat. It depends what we carry. some whales have one heartbeat, I think, or very few heartbeats every 24 hours. But does it change anything in their intelligence, or they have learned to convert energy internally? It's not a heartbeat, it's the rate of the energy we intake and the way we take it. The interaction, because we haven't understood the sign, we just call it the blood. Blood goes, I have a high pressure, I have a sugar. Have a look. When you have a high blood pressure, when you have a high sugar, what your dreams are, how you sleep, because that affects literally the blood flow and how you react or interact in emotion and in connection with your soul. You look at the blood pressure, you look at the sugar level. I look at high sugar, high blood pressure, high blood rate to man who wants to possess. I make the cage tighter on myself. That's all it is. It's a simple tokamak reactor. You increase the flow, you tighten the plasma in the center. Then ask yourself, why do I have a high blood pressure and why I have sugar? And why gas technology works in the cup. Now you understand the secret of sugar cup and a pressure cup. The cat is out of the bag. Any other?
Okay, we have a couple of attendees that would like to speak. Antonio, would you like to go first? And then we have Ivan after that.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning.
Thank you, Rick. I was thinking today, Mr. Keshe, about the consciousness of an atom. And does an atom have emotion?
Of course. You have a soul, you have emotion. To us, a stone is hard rock. As I always said, the stone is made of atoms and no electron is static. If you ever held a crystal in your hand, and I said this many years ago, when I used to be very deeply involved in development research and had a lot of concentration on building things, when they used to give me these crystals, holding in my hand, I used to break them just by the energy transfer.
Mm-hmm.
We carry that energy, and the only way the stone breaks is because I give the energy to it, that it satisfies itself. He has no attachment. Scientific, you say, oh, give energy, then it explodes, whatever it comes up, because we don't understand. This is why I say, when you sit in front of things, something you want to move, don't push it. Say, I love to see the beauty of your moving, and see it moves. But you have to understand, is soul level. I was talking to a knowledge seeker just before teaching starts, saying that I was explaining, I don't like to kill an ant. I don't like to kill a mosquito. I don't like to do things. But my threshold of emotion has been brought up. His life is nothing compared to mine, so I do what I like. Hypocrisy. What about if I manage to find his half-life, which is connected to his soul, and I say to the soul, can you please don't bite me? You can live with me. Don't touch my food because I don't like it. I'll give you food outside. That's what the knowledge giver was saying.
Yeah.
I said, you have to adjust your emotion. You have to understand the spectrum of. You have to understand which isotope energy is isotope energy of the mouse, the cat, the man, the dog, the creator. Even the creator matches one of the isotopes. And that's all it is.
Mr. Keshe, when it comes to emotion and everything, does everything have the emotion of love or the energy of love?
Everything has a reaction. We call the reaction emotion. Emotion comes, you see, when you have an accident, you get a bang. It's an accident. Two things hit each other, you hear a noise, that's it, the damage. Or the reaction is damaged cars. You understand?
Yeah.
The reaction, the leftover of it. When the plasmas interact, you create emotion. Accident is a matter state. Emotion is an energy state. You understand?
Yeah.
So you have a soul of physicality, which is a plasma, has no physicality, it's a collection of energies, and you have a soul. So when they interact, the outcome is emotion, the outcome of the accident. You got a wrecked car in a physical dimension, you have emotion in physicality, in the dimension of energy. That's all it is.
When water flows over a rock, it would create an emotion when they interact with each other because of one touching the other, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
Now imagine how your soul touches the soul of the creator and what emotion it creates in you and him.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine. Yeah.
That's the love of Mitra.
Yeah. It's interesting with energy, Mr. Keshe, where sometimes at the dinner table, a glass would be in a position and I will just shift it slightly. And it seems to change, I don't know, it seems to change the energy just by shifting something.
It does,
You know?
because you receive different energies, different dimensions. There is a new cosmic ray materials coming out in the coasters and everything, and fish tanks. These are amazingly in the shifting of energy. These are amazing shift of energy. I hold them, I touch them, and I just fall in love with it. How much the beauty of the eye comes with holding of the energy in your hand. How much we change with understanding the whole structure by just moving, just literally moving energy. We call it different ways, and we look at it different ways.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important for us to be we have to understand we touch a stone, but as in the holy writing, if a stone has a soul, which means if he has a soul, you have a soul, they interact, the soul does anything you need.
Yeah.
And it's us who does not understand this. And this is a problem we have with ourselves. It's nothing to do with the creation.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Keshe, my thoughts are with all that are suffering as well in the Middle East at this time, stressful time. It hopefully they learn to respect one another.
Last Thursday teaching, if you understood, in a very hidden way, I explained, or I tried to, not to cause panic, but the situation was upcoming.
Yeah.
In a very hidden way, my way of putting the things across without raising any alert. We were aware that the Americans and the Israelis were planning this. There was a reason. We were looking for a date. Date was very easy. We looked at it, and as I said, that the Iranians got access to the technology of the Israelis, the whole information of the Israelis. And the Israelis had no choice. There is a cat cornered. There was a plan in a bigger structure to do other things, but the Israelis tried to preempt it. But in a way, by them knowing there's a plan on the way, they did the mistake to preempt. What they played for years, they got played on very cleverly by the Iranians. And the intelligence which was feeding the Israelis was so well controlled that the Israelis and the Americans made the biggest mistake. The spies who they trained, Iran took some of the most loyal people to nation into separate part, isolated, not known. One day I'll tell you how it was done. And they built relentlessly, day and night, missiles. More advanced, tested, underground tested, everywhere else. And in the surface, the people who thought they know, reporting back to Americans and the Israelis, the most famous spy Iran ever has is Mr. Zarif, who became the vice president. At that high level, he was passing information on, and he escaped out of Iran just a few weeks ago. That's why they thought they are ready to go. He was a chief negotiator, but he was a chief cheater. He was one of the biggest spies Iran ever had. And knowing that we have these people in a structure, wrong information was fed, or the information was fed, but not the true information was fed to these people. Don't forget, he became the vice president. The president knew. And his cupboard was, opened up. But they were not given information. The loyal team stayed very hidden. And the information Mr. Zarif could give to the Americans was that 2,000 missiles. And they planned on a very specific way. And they relied specifically on what they dismantled behind. Every time we had a problem, uprising in Iran, we saw people who don't speak Farsi. They came from Syria, they came from Palestine. We saw them on the bikes, we see the brutality and the rest of it, because these were there to protect and to keep everything in shape. But one thing which they counted on is that we hit, they have 2,000 missiles, we get them to do, they can last 2 days, 3 days, and then we get our super aircrafts across there, we bomb them and the rest of them. And they did the same tactic and technique. They brought the Afghans, who the ex-president which got killed, brought into Iran as part of the bigger plan to kill very high-ranking scientists. I lost one of the closest people to the Keshe Foundation technology. He was one of the first wave which was killed last week. Our team were crying on the phone. We lost him.
Sorry to hear that.
He was a very peaceful man. He used the technology to his absolute best. He always defended us.
Yeah.
And the American relied that we kill this number of people. We know exactly how many people we lost. It's not even in the news. We know to the number. They killed the head, the assistant, and the advisors. They didn't just kill the top man this time. They brought the Afghans to do this job in Iran. And they thought by killing these people on the top and then bombing, the Iranian nation will uprise and do the revolution. And that's it. We get rid of the regime. This was the calculation by the American and the English, Germans, Italians, and the French. As I said, they were after Iranian mines and the technology. And Mr. Trump said, you give us all the things, we take what we like from the centrifuge. Sir, we don't need centrifuge. We showed we have a more advanced technology in Beijing. That was a playoff for this. This was the reason we played in Beijing. They relied on that the nation will turn back because of these bombings and killing, and then they have the revolution, what CIA did for a lot of time, but this time they did it with the Afghans in Iran. The regime didn't move. We sat tight, we took the shot, we assessed how much they assessed their game, they opened their hand. A flight took from Tel Aviv saying that Netanyahu has gone to Greece. He didn't go to Greece. He was on another flight into Cyprus. He hit with his cabinet in Cyprus with the British military and the French, and they watched. They planned the attack on Iran once the revolution starts. To empty the Iran central bank. We have a very wise team watching all these things. Mr. Zarif reported Iran has 2,000 ballistic, and he was so high-ranking they know it. In fact, we have 20,000 ballistic missiles. Iran can sustain months of bombing on Tel Aviv. And this is what was not calculated. Agreement was reached between Russia, Iran, China, and Chinese were standing back. The biggest mistake Netanyahu made a speech a few days that after Iran, we go after Pakistan. It became clear the line is China. Pakistan joined Iran, China entered the war, defending Iran. Because now the game was very clear. But no Chinese, nor the Russians, nor Mr. Zarif, nor the American government, no Rockefeller Group, no Rothschild Group knew Iran has built a massive arsenal in the background. Nobody knew till last Sunday Iran has submarines launching warheads. That's how the first wave came from the ocean. It was to tell the Americans, we can get you, you're on the top, underneath we get you. We sat back, we calculated every dimension of the work. 20,000, the 2,000, Mr. Zarif dropped to zero. Now, Iran used the old-fashioned, we need a space in the warehouses. They dropped everything which is old out to get the fresh ones in position. Iran moved the missiles into Pakistani side to the east of Iran that the Americans don't have the planes to reach. And they start launching on Israel. Most of the missiles, because they destroyed, they thought they get the front line, the way Iranian planned. In Kermanshah and in Tehran, and we control the aerospace of Iran. If you control aerospace, you cannot control and literally control the Tel Aviv. The interesting thing is, you listen to the European rhetoric, or you listen to the facts. They claim to control the Iranian airspace, but in fact, Iran controls the whole of Israel. No flight, nothing. Americans get the permission to take their people out. If you remember a few months ago, and in some of the teaching I explained, the American naval forces are there to collect Israel as the state of Israel comes to an end by themselves. And you listen, look at the pictures today. Last Thursday, you could buy a ticket for $50 to go to Cyprus for a day excursion. Today, the same ticket is $5,000. Israelis moving out. You don't see the pictures we see on the social media, which is not open to you to see, where all the tassel Jews are dragging suitcases as refugees leaving Israel.
Exodus.
Exodus, the way they came. You have to understand, I explained this very deeply to the people to understand. And this is what history comes. The Israelis who are in Israel as Jews and the rest came in as refugees. These people have no roots. These are Zionists. They came from Ukraine, yeah, like Mr. Netanyahu and the rest of it. The Jews who are the Iranian Jews, we are part of the culture. We lived, we worked with the Jews and the Muslims and Christians for centuries together. These are that side which are going back. They came, they invaded the land, they go back. As I said, in the next few weeks, Palestinians will move into Tel Aviv, and we'll see. If you look at the Tel Aviv today, which they don't show you, we have privilege to see it because we have to understand it. Tel Aviv, more or less now, and especially Haifa and other places, has become exactly what you saw in Gaza. A wreck. A wreck.
Yeah.
What they did for 2 years on the Palestinians, they've done to in past 5 days. This is not nice to see, but the plan was to dominate. You have to understand, the Knesset of Israel is built by Rothschild as a gift to the nation. Watch. Everything was built to create a war, to continue with war. Now the wars will finish. Domination of Iran will bring an end to the religious war. Vatican has lost. This game brings an end. We see a lot of changes. You have to understand, I stand as a senior advisor to 3 major governments. I'm still humble, I still come and teach.
Yeah.
But we stay impartial. We stay correct because we bring the phase of the change. And you have to understand, we've been accused a lot of things, but you have to understand, I play one game. The technology has to be amongst people. Grown by people, looked after by people, and taught by people. But I wear another clothes as an advisor, as a man which doesn't take part. Once you're an advisor and take part, you're lost. You lose soon. If you say always impartial and correct, you always won. They were expecting revolution last week. People by Friday, they were celebrating this Friday will be Tehran. The biggest mistake made. On Thursday of last week, we had 80% of the nation plus against the regime. Today, we have 95% praising Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran.
Yeah.
They united the Iran because what they said, they stole, they took, they did this, that, that. The missiles answered it. And these are the bottom of the pit of technologies which Iran will show. If it goes further, you will see interaction of the technologies which they could not even imagine. Nobody knew Iran have submarine. Submarines which can launch missiles. Americans were proud that one of the 4 they owned. The 5th one is on the ground, it's been tested. Yesterday, if you look at the social media, a missile was launched which the people of Tehran could not, they could never imagine such a noise. They thought the Israelis attacked, but it was a missile, intercontinental missile, which was launched from Iran with creating plasma, which comes from the fast speed and the high speed. The biggest mistake Americans and Israelis made was to make this attack. There would not be no industry. You have to understand the way they are flattening Israel. There is no industry, there is no port, there is no oil, there is nothing to lighten the cities of Tel Aviv very soon.
Yeah.
Then we get exodus of all the, what I call immigrants, go back home, back to Ukraine, back to where you are, and
saw a
back
big
to the West. Pardon?
I saw a big crowd around Ben Gvir, and they were saying, "Why did you do what you did, attacking Iran?" He said, "Oh, I didn't know they had so many missiles."
This information was the biggest problem we had was Mr. Zarif. Mr. Zarif and his team around him continuously gave information. He was identified, so he was given the wrong information.
Yeah.
You understand?
Let
me explain to you. He spent in the cabinet meeting very recently, this year, he brought in a 2-hour 55-minute recording of my ex-wife in the cabinet meeting to tell them that I'm a spy of Israel. Those of you Iran, you got my notice. You know what we're going to do with you. Or what you've done to yourself. We don't need to do anything with you. Mr. Zarif took 2 hours, 55 minutes of my ex-wife claiming that I'm a spy of Israel into cabinet, trying to destroy Keshe Foundation. He was given 2 fingers. Now you understand.
Yeah, I'm just saddened by the fact that people have to suffer and die.
It wasn't chosen. They decided. There was no need for it. You have to look at Mr. Netanyahu's private bank account, how much money he's got from all the wars. The same as the Ukrainian president. Netanyahu is one of the richest men in the world. By the money he has scuffled on arms. He took a cut from Iraq, gold reserve. He took a cut personally from the 2 other countries, Syria and the rest. But now he got cut. According to the intelligence, Israel has ammunition and food for 48 hours. That's what's on the internet. Would we see Palestinians coming back and what they destroyed in Gaza? Now they live in the luxury hotels and rooms of the Tel Aviv. They just moved home instead of going to Syria. Now they move into the rest of Israel because they have left. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis left empty apartments. There is nothing much. Should they go into Sanya, into Egypt and the rest? They move into the apartments emptied by the. Have you seen the videos which are coming out by Chinese social media? They don't show in public.
Yeah, I've seen some. Yes, yeah.
Have you seen these rabbis and the rest and the children, which is shameful? They shouldn't have been there, dragging luggages, trying to get to the port of Ashdod.
Yeah.
These empty apartments, who's going to live in them?
The Palestinians still have a key. They don't need the key now.
They don't need the key. It's empty. You saw how many Israeli fighter pilots, have taken the uniform out and walked out. It's very simple. These empty apartments, why should they go? That's their land. They get kicked out. Now they come back in, they build them homes. Thank you very much. They have to live together. It's been done for centuries. Jews, Palestinians, Christians live together in this land for hundreds of years. Why now? Because these are all European Jews who came, financed by Rothschilds, to create this, that in the future they create a division and they sell arms, and that was the big plan. Now, would the Americans make a mistake and touch Iran, which I think yesterday launch will put doubts on it with the Russians and Chinese sitting behind, because Chinese now know, they know the bigger plan. And would Netanyahu be a free man by next Friday? We don't know. But in a very short time, I explained to you exactly what has happened. They planned the revolution, it backfired, it united Iran, and now they have a revolution in their own land. People are against them. It has changed 180 degrees. And we open the books of history gradually as they're loyal to Iran and to the rest of humanity. And one idiot has got so much problem. It is lies, it is deception and deceiving. Because Rothschild financed it. It is very interesting to watch. The people who gave intelligence were actually very intelligent in a way that they received the wrong information. We have to watch. This is why I love to work with Chinese. We know their game. We know the way they do it. You hear me. I tell you everything in a way, because the people have to understand the situation. The people have to be clever to understand the dynamic of life across this planet. Then we can all live together very peacefully. Vatican has lost over 30 trillion in this war. I explained to you how they lost it. Americans have lost over 300 trillion investment in Israel. I'll explain how 300 trillion comes about. And maybe if we don't go into the nuclear phase of attack, we will see the stepping down of the situation, the escalation of the war to step down. America will lose its dominance. They are cornered, they are in a corner very badly. They have to attack to keep their superiority, but they know if they do, Washington, Los Angeles, Chicago will be unlivable by the Russians. Chinese will take Philippines. North Korea will flatten most probably Japan and North Korea, and all lost. But we hope not. We hope the Americans, even with all the soldiers they have, they wound their legs and go back and create a condition. They were lied to, they were cheated, we understand. Sorry, the the Bahamas plan for Palestinian coastline would not happen. And we have to understand the politics of peace. And we are there instrumental to do. The question raised, what's happening with the Iranian nuclear damages? Keshe Foundation, according to our ethos, stand firmly, and we are in a cleaning up phase. Our technology, the way we gave to the Japanese, now is in the hand of the Iranian government, Iranian military, to clean up any nuclear mess. Full technology transfer has taken place between the Keshe Foundation and the Iranian government in the past days. Contamination of Fukushima is the same as contamination of Iran nuclear centers. And technology is ours, we use it, and we have disposed of technology to the Iranian scientists to protect themselves and clean up. We stay peaceful, we do the same. We brought materials, stand by if Ukraine gets damaged. And now we transfer the advanced, very simple advanced technology to Iran, cleaning up any damages by nuclear accident. Secondly, we don't need centrifuge, as you've seen in Beijing in the past 4 weeks. The way we gave them the obsolete missiles, we give them the obsolete centrifuges. Let's see what comes. If we go to the nuclear phase, if we don't go to the nuclear phase, we see the end of the wars in Middle East. This is the final phase of the religions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for Mr. Keshe.
Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Let's bring Ivan in here. Try to, let me see here. Where did he go? There you are. Ivan, you should be able to speak there now if you wish. You'll have to open your microphone. Can't hear you yet. He says he's trying, so.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead, Ivan.
Hello, guys. This is a wonderful day. Mr. Keshe, it's Ivan from Bulgaria. Every time I come here, I have to introduce myself, so I'm doing it as instructed.
Thank you.
First, before starting this meeting, I just want to thank you so much for 15 years of teaching. And finally, I think you opened my eyes that we are just a bunch of gas going around because of the centered magnetic field that holds us here. So I want to ask you about cancer, because I think I can eliminate it in a very, very easy way. No drugs, nothing. We just need to feed it back to the body. We see that the cancer is feeding with glucose, which is the primary energy fuel, right? So do you think that if we increase the energy that the body can absorb and decrease a little bit the energy that this field that is formed by this glucose that stays in our body, because even when we open the body, we see that this cancer, it has a heartbeat, has a pulsation, which means that it's two glucose fields that just came together and form a little bit stronger field that start to feed out of the glucose that we feed it. So it's nothing so amazing and difficult to eliminate. It's just the energy that is going in, and slowly it's increasing its strength because we feed it. So do you think that we can just
1 second,
cure the
please.
problem?
1 second.
Okay, I'm waiting.
I think something's going on in the background. Just be patient there, Ivan.
It's okay. I love to be here, guys. This is a very special day.
You see, I understand what you're talking about, and you have to understand.
Hello?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
trying to. First of all, we don't enter the world of medicine trying to, but scientifically, as we always said, there are three types of cancer. One created emotionally, one is physical, and one is what we call genetic, or you call evolution. The evolutionary cancer is extremely hard to change. So it does not matter glucose or whatever, because it has a program, it's coded program. Some of the physical cancers comes by operation. You get hit in the brain, you get hit in the breast, you get hit in the stomach, the energy is too high, and creates a center for energy, and then later on appears as a cancer. We see that a lot with operations. The other cancer, which is emotional cancer, which is about 70-80% and increasing in number more nowadays because of psychosomatic, psychological pressures, and the habits, change of habits, we can interfere. So when you speak about the glucose, you might change 1 point, but is the cause of it emotion? Is the cause of it accident? Or is the cause of it evolution? If you look at things with an open eye, you can find a good solution. If you just think, I have found, a lot of people claim we have found the answer to cancer and the rest of it, and I always say yes. But which one? You might be successful in what you say in one case or 10 cases, but you hit, oh, it's something we couldn't do. I've been there. We've done every possible test. I tell you something to learn, and then it's very, very interesting if you understand. Go yourself, and this is opposite to what happens in plasma. Let me explain to you why I'm telling you. You're all ladies, you're all chocolate lovers. Get yourself a bain-marie, put a boiling water in the pan, and then put a glass water on it, and then put those things you love, chocolates, in it, and let it melt. Flow off of blood. It's like a lymph. Add sugar to it, and see how lovely thinner it becomes, and it's delicious. Now, you make a mistake. The salt pot came by mistake in the place of the sugar, and you put the salt in it, and see what happened to your chocolate. The first one with sugar, you put the strawberry in it and enjoyed how it dripped. You put the salt in it, you can't even move it like a rock. You gotta glue it to the strawberry. This is the behavior in the matter state of the same. If you understood the knowledge, I gave you the answer.
May I open this a little bit further?
Let me explain to you more. But
Okay.
the chocolate did not carry your emotion. Your emotion is the heat you put in the pan. So you have to understand, is the cause of the disease, whatever you call it, has the emotional attachment. Then you have to find out, does it work with sugar or with salt? If you understood the total picture, you can attach anything to it to be correct. This is why you hear we tested 10,000 cancer cases and they all work, but they don't tell you the 20,000 they lost. Because they hit one part and they don't understand the other part. Any disease. But if you go back into the energy operation, does not matter if it's a salt or sugar.
You know, you just opened my eyes. This is even more easy. It's very easy to balance the emotion. If the cause is the emotion, I know exactly how to balance it. It takes like 15 minutes. And then if we increase the total energy of the body and we balance the emotion, everything will disappear so easy.
Then there will be no mental institutes, you find the solution. Emotion.
I don't need them, I'm gonna bring it to the world.
Emotion, control of emotion comes with attachments of physicality.
You taught me how to do it. I know how to do it now. It's game over.
Okay, I hope so. But we don't talk about medical applications here. But we can talk about
No, this is not
the science.
medical application. You just lie in the bed and you do it by yourself. This is something within you. You always explain me these things.
You have to understand. You have to understand in a very simple way. There are people who have a cancer and within days there are no cancer. You can change some of the cancers. No science up to now has managed, no scientific research has managed to change more than 20%. Because accidentally, some you get. But they never tell you the other 80% they fail. Even with our advanced technology, we still have these problems, these understandings, because we have to understand more. We have developed technology for cancer, unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is going through development and research at the moment. Those who are around us, they've seen tumors disappearing in days or whatever. But that's part of the research done by the doctors. Well, it doesn't mean that we can do everything. People immediately say, oh, I had a chemotherapy, but the whole purpose is, if it works, they know and they live the life with. We are very wise to these things, and we never make a claim, but technology of cancer, with the new technology we have in our hand and going to the doctors, doesn't exist if you understand it. But still we have problem understanding it more. This technology will emerge from China. In the new cooperation with Market Corporation of the United States, the cancer development research will come out of China. People will go to Keshe Foundation cooperation structure in China for these kind of things, not through Keshe Foundation, but through Market Corporation. This now we don't have.
Well,
now we have.
I'm really sorry to let you know, but these people are gonna lose a lot of money because they don't need any stupid technology. You just need to understand the operation. And as you said, we are here to serve, not to serve. So very soon I'm gonna open it up to everybody, and you will see how it's gonna move so easy.
Fantastic.
So easy.
Congratulations. let us know. We still have to do it through the right way. You can claim and you can end up in prison. You be very careful how you put things out. Don't make claims.
Okay.
The first thing is the corporations will get you before you even open your mouth. But try to do it, and it's nice to hear, at least from the knowledge you can help.
Do you know how I got the knowledge?
I'm sure you're going to tell us.
You told me, yes, you told me to connect to the center magnetic field where all the knowledge is. So I just went there and I requested it, and it was given. It was so interesting. It was just given. So why not give it to everybody? Let's change the planet.
That'll be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
We had a question in the Q&A from Anonymous, who's would like you to explain what is half-life and half-time.
Half-time we play in a football pitch. Half-life we play in nuclear industry.
Yeah, I may have gotten confused with the halftime we have in our show today as well, which is our break that we have, but not to be confused with the nuclear halftime. As
this is a problem. I come from that breed. I've been bred nuclear material and energy and knowledge from young age, so it's part of life for me. But in essence, half-life is the time it takes the energy of an atom to balance with this environment, that the environment allows us to open up. Half-life is like putting a sugar in a hot water. You just open it up, and then when it cools down, it crystallizes back to new sugars, and the same sugars creates new structures. That's how you make your candies, and that's all it is. You choose the time. The energy transfer with the environment brings that balance.
Okay, we had a question from Filippo in the chat. What relationship is there, or do we have between food and the need for sex?
Oh, one is coded in our genes, and one is needed by our genes. Very simple. Sex is coded. Food is needed. We haven't seen anybody dying on the streets because not having sex, but we see people dying for not having food. We are addicts by birth, as I've said many times before, and sex and what we call the last pleasure is the payoff of the drug. Increase in chemicals in the brain, exactly like cake. You take cocaine and the rest of it. When we get addicted to a drug, when it runs out, we go and get another one and refill the energy in the brain. So is the same as what we call reproduction. There's a reward. We are literally no different than that mouse in the cage, where if it touches the right thing, gets a, what do you call it, a carrot as a reward. We are addicted, but it's coded in our genes with our addiction. Any other question?
We have a hand up here with Salomia. Would you like to go ahead, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Rick, after so long.
Where
Hello,
have you
Mr.
been?
Keshe.
Where have you been hiding?
Yes, I have been like in prison, you know. in my office, not allowed to come on Zoom. Anyway,
Why?
and now I am ill. Now I am ill, and that's why I am able to come. I am at home.
Why are you imprisoned in your office and you're not allowed?
It's like this. The life in our country. Yeah, it's like this. Anyway, I'm happy because I am today with you, and I lost many informations. It was my question related to half life and half time. I know that time maybe is an illusion related to life if we do not have the process of getting old. We will not have maybe time because we change. Yeah, yeah.
We have changed the time and half-life in the nuclear industry the same. We have changed the words time and life, but in a sense it's the same.
Yeah. Yes, it's synonym. Time is life. No, but in our Indian culture, dead and life are peers. Even we live, we experience the death. It's like breathing. We breathe and we.
You call it in English dead man walking.
Yeah.
We are still dead,
Yeah.
but we still walk.
Yes. So I understood well that.
More or less, it's the same thing, but we chose different names for it. Half-life and atom splits in nuclear. Half-time is when our life is split from this physicality, you call it death. Because the other half just starts when the split comes. The two part of atom don't die, they start a new cycle. And so it's the same.
Okay, I understood now better.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I hope to come from times to time.
As long
when
as
I
you don't get
ill,
imprisoned.
I can come. No. It was a metaphor only,
yes,
because I'm not allowed to do something else.
We are
when
in a
I'm
democracy.
at my job.
How are you not allowed in Romania? You're in a democracy.
I think anywhere, everywhere. When you are at your office, you have to deal with your work only.
I
That's all.
understand. No problem.
You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you
Yes.
very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome.
Thank
I
you.
meet
Nice
you.
to hear you.
And much love to all the people from Keshe family.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Salmi.
Shall we call it a day?
Sure. We pretty much made it through the questions, so thank you very much.
We still need support. I was just told to inform you. We need still a huge amount of financial support. We haven't managed to cross this hurdle. And if you can help us to move this hurdle, we can move very fast. We need to move and to bring the change, but we are stuck, literally stuck now. We can't move forward, we can't move backward. And we have to see how we can resolve this situation. But if you can still support us to be able to do, even as a what they call medium-term loan to the foundation or to us, that we can get this sorted, we are prepared to talk. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe, for another Knowledge Seekers Workshop here, number 595. And me see, speaking of next week, we will have our next public teaching workshop will be June 24th with the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace. That will start at the 4 p.m. Central European Summertime time slot with members and support members of the Universal Council. Let me just check here. I think that's it for our announcements for now. So thank you everybody for being here for today's workshop, and thank you for the questions. And if there's anything left over, carry it over till next week, and I'm sure we can have it answered then. And I think that's it. I think there's something else, but nothing comes up. So again, thank you everybody for being here. We'll go out in our usual manner with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And we'll see you all in the next public teaching workshop, and perhaps next week back here again as well. Bye for now.